Hello everyone and welcome to another How to Do. Now this is going to be a bit of a short How to Do, but it's because it's actually a follow-up to one that I did several years back now, in fact, many years back I think, where I attempted to take apart an Emperor Davros figure because I was interested to see how it went together. And I discovered that what actually it seemed to be was that this whole piece, as you can see with this, is one sort of massive bit. And I didn't want to start taking it apart any further because at the time I recorded the original one, that was an original Davros figure I had, and obviously they were quite hard to get hold of. I didn't have any spare, but obviously now we have the newer updated version and I've been able to get another one to take apart because I'm planning to make a custom with it, but I thought I'd do an actual follow-up video to this of taking it apart. So I have it here down to its more or less component parts. Obviously he doesn't have his head because I've used that on something else, and I also haven't taken the base apart because again that is pretty much fairly simple to do. I've literally take out these screws to take the wheels and things out, but obviously previously in the other version that I'd had, the things that I hadn't done is taken off this back piece and also deconstructed the dome. So in terms of starting with the dome deconstruction, obviously that just lifts off the two tabs on the side, and then the actual lights are on here that have got a kind of inset piece on them that literally just sort of slots over the top, and then that's how the lights fit on. So it's worth saying for all of this as well, for this whole piece and also for the dome, I've used the boil and pop method, but basically what that essentially is soak the water in boiling water for literally maybe a minute, not even a minute sometimes, which softens up some of the plastic, especially with these lighter types of plastics. It certainly has softened them up a lot more, and it makes it a lot easier to sort of pry things off, and it loosens the glue and things like that. So that's literally all I've done for the lights, is pry those off. For the cover on the inside of the light, again, I just, once I'd boiled it, it just pretty much easily popped off. It did break off a little bit on the edge here, but it still fits back into place and can still be fitted in it. But again, I just recommend being careful when you take that off, because again, it's very easy to sort of break those sorts of things. The body itself, now this part of the rear dome, as you can see, it's got these tabs on the inside, and they are really sort of quite solidly fixed in there. Now this has sort of gone back to its more sort of cooled, I should say, solid shape. It's actually really difficult to get this back in here, which is why I haven't done it yet. But essentially by heating up this whole thing in boiling water, it made it very easy just to pry that top bit off here, which as you can see fits into the areas around here. So again, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it back in, because once I've painted this up I don't want to boil it because it might affect the paint. So what I'm probably going to have to do is actually cut these tabs off and then just slot that back in the top. But again, you know, that's pretty much how it is. But what I find interesting about this is now I've heated up this main bit, this is actually hollow in a sort of the only thing I can kind of equate it to is actually kind of like the plastic that you would get like a squeaky toy, but it's obviously quite rigid when it's solid, but when you actually heat it up it does sort of intake water, and it isn't actually solid in that sense. It's one solid piece, but it does have a hollow in it, so obviously it does mean that you may trap some water in there. The only thing I haven't done is take off this bit of the body, which I think does come off. However, in trying to get it off, it did sort of start to rip the plastic where it was hot, and it was obviously more easily malleable, because obviously, rather like the head on this one as well, this later release has been super glued in place rather annoyingly. So again, that did come off. I did actually snap this peg. I've glued this peg back into place, but that did actually snap off when I took the head off. And I feel like if I tried to get this bit of the body off as well, it would end up actually sort of breaking and deforming the actual main shape of the body and this bit. But again, this is a sort of bit of molded plastic. It's not a solid piece like this. It's sort of got a slight hollow to it, so it's got a bit of flexibility to it. But that's pretty much it in terms of taking this apart. I said I always planned to do a follow-up video on this, but I had to wait until I had one spare. So there you are. There's really, like I said, there's not a lot to say about it, but it's the sequel that we finally got. But that brings to a close another How To Do. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. And be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I've had a bit of a rejig recently, so at the moment there is only one tier on there. But all of your donations are greatly received, and for the smallest donation you can get your name in the thank you for your support at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.